Hey everybody, welcome. We'll be doing a yoga practice focused on the upper body today. I chose to sit on the floor because I've been sitting in a chair all day and I just wanted to move a little closer to the ground. If you're sitting in a chair, that's totally fine. All you'll really need today is just a little bit of time, a little bit of motivation to drop into the body and center, and that's about all. So I have a blanket that I'm sitting on just because I like to elevate my hips up a little bit when I'm seated on the ground. Sometimes even sitting on a little cushion or a folded up blanket can be really nice, even if you're sitting in a chair. So if you want to snag that quick, and then we'll get started. Thanks for being here. Starting to sit upright to begin here, so maybe wiggling a little side to side. I always like to do that to kind of settle into my seat, maybe rocking forward and backward a little bit. And just eventually starting to sit up tall, lengthen your back. Let your shoulders begin to drop away from the ears. Feel the sides of your neck get a little longer. Your chin might gently drop down just to bring some space to the back of your neck. And I'll invite you to close your eyes here or settle your gaze onto something in your space just to encourage some softening around your eyes. You may start to notice sensations moving through your face, maybe softening the jawline as well. We'll sit for a few minutes here, grounding, centering, transitioning from whatever we were doing to this practice. We started a little bit with the face already, but you may start to bring some awareness to your shoulders and notice any sensations that you feel in and around the shoulders. Sensations like tingling or vibrations. Sometimes temperature, hot or cold. And maybe nothing at all, letting that be an option too. And let your awareness travel down to the belly, just noticing the belly just as it is. Notice if you're holding tension there, or maybe you feel some natural movement happening at the belly from your breath. If it's possible to let the belly be soft, just kind of relaxing some tension there, releasing that held belly feeling. Gently letting your awareness move all the way down to the bottoms of your feet, the soles of your feet. And you may notice sensation there, tingling, vibrations, heat or cool sensation. If you're sitting in a chair, the bottoms of your feet might be connected to the ground. Maybe spreading the toes, Just for the next few moments, bringing some special attention to your breath. You don't have to change your breathing, but if you'd like, you might start to slow it down a little bit. Noticing when your in-breath comes and when your out-breath comes, one leading into the other. Continuous breath. Let's gently bring the chin down towards the sternum, just kind of dropping your head. If your eyes were closed, I'll invite you to open them now. And then gently lift your gaze back up. So just kind of taking in your surroundings, almost like your eyes were scanning your space as you lift your gaze. Okay, let's switch the across of the legs. So just kind of switching that up so you can resettle. That's if you're seated on the ground in a cross-legged position. You may find a little shifting, a little hip walking. If you're in a chair, it's that hip walking of kind of like you're taking a step with one of your sitting bones, one of your hips. Walking forward again can feel kind of nice and grounding. Okay, so sitting up tall, we just notice the kind of sensation of the strong back keeping us lifted. And then we talked about softening the belly, so this kind of balance between soft and sturdy. The front of the body can be soft. The back of the body, strong, stable, sturdy, keeping you upright, keeping you awake during this practice. Okay, let's start to reach the right arm up alongside the ear. And I did just say one arm in particular, but you can really lift either arm up and reach through the fingertips. Your other hand can be down on the ground or the side of your chair. Just reaching up, lengthening through that side of the body. Notice if your back starts to arch here, thinking about drawing the front ribs in, keeping a lift in your chest, and a little bit of heaviness in the hips. Let's lean over to this side. So we're just finding a nice side body stretch here. Breathing into that space. And on your next breath in, come back up. Bring that hand down. And switch sides, reaching the other arm up, lengthening, lifting, gently leaning over when you're ready. If your hand is on the ground, you may walk it a little farther out. Just finding a place that feels interesting to you. Spacious through the side of the body. Gently come back up. And bring the hands to the tops of your legs, wherever you are. Let's let the chin drop towards the chest. And sensing that rounding sensation in the back of the neck. And let that rounding travel all the way down the spine, so you start to press the spine back towards the back of your chair or the back of the room that you're in. Imagining like that imaginary beach ball was coming in towards the belly, rounding over it. And then opposite action here, we start to lift the chest up, arch the back. Shoulders roll down the back, lift the chin. Start a flow with your breath here. Exhale, coming into your cat pose. And inhale, lifting your chest, arching your back for cow. Seated cat and cow. You can move at your own pace. Find that flow of the breath, one motion leading into the other. In breath, leading into the out breath. For the next few rounds, you may find a little more organic movement, just something that feels good, like a shifting of your rib cage side to side, a rolling out of the spine, making kind of like a spiral. Just thinking about warming up the spine, warming up the back. So anytime we start a yoga practice, it's a nice idea to think about warming up the main joints in the body, spine, wrist, ankles, hips, shoulders. Kind of a theme of today's practice. Okay, gently come back through the center, lift the chest, settle the hips, nice and tall, upright. Get soft. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, feel free to switch the cross of your legs again. You can do that at any point in practice. I've noticed that's really helpful for kind of resetting. Same thing for the hip walk. Sometimes just doing a little bit of a kind of hip walk side to side or wiggle can kind of reground, remind you where you are in your body in this practice. Let's sweep both arms up on your inhale. So thinking about the inhale, lifting your arms up. And when you get there, you can take a couple breaths, kind of exploring that space in the sides of your body, like a little inching up out of the low back, like your rib cage we're lifting up. Good, and reaching up through the fingertips, lifting the chest broad across the collarbones. Let's take another breath in here. And twist to the right, left hand to the right knee. Your right hand can fall back behind you as you look over the right shoulder. Breathing in. And breathing out. Just come back through the center. We'll float the arms up again. And gently move to the other side. Take your time. Thinking about lifting the spine as you inhale, maybe deepening the twist as you exhale. And we gently make our way back through the center. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, soles of the feet are going to come onto the ground here. And if you're in a chair, that's probably already the case. So let's do a little windshield wiper of the knees. So walking the feet out a little bit wider. You can drop your knees from side to side here. And if you're in a chair, I would suggest scooching close to the edge of your chair, being mindful not to scooch too far. Staying in your chair. Just feeling that movement of your hip joint side to side. Internal and external rotation. If you'd like to play around with matching your breath with your movement, you can drop the knees over as you exhale. Inhale, bring the knees back up. Exhale, knees to one side. Inhale, knees back up. And let's do that once more on each side. Moving with your breath here. If possible. Sometimes it's a little challenging to move with the breath, and that's fine. Okay. Let's come back to a upright seated position here. And I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together for a bound angle pose. If you're seated in a chair, sometimes just having your feet out wide can be helpful, kind of creating that same kind of sensation of knees wide. Feet can stay flat though. And then we'll lean back a bit. So thinking about leaning into the hands behind you. And then lifting your chest up. So if you're in a chair, hands can be on the chair back behind you. Lift the chin up, lift the chest up, kind of like your cow pose. Arching of the back, lifting the chest. Maybe lift the chin a little higher. Just finding a little more space in the front of the body, that long belly feeling. Good, let's inhale here. Notice your sitting bones on the surface that you're on and rock back up and over them. And let's fold forward from here. So tipping over the legs, hinging at the hips any amount. Hanging out here for a few breaths. Exploring that deep sensation of what's right here. The sounds in your space, sensations in your physical body, thoughts, feelings, overarching moods that are arising for you right now. Gently rocking back up when you are ready. Option to keep your legs just as they are or refold them. I'll do a little shoulder opening here. Stretching the arms out into a T. You start to take those little circles with the fingertips. Moving bigger and bigger with each circle until you find your full range of motion here. And once you found that biggest circle that you can make, let's move in the other direction. Big circles. And make those circles smaller and smaller. Until you can't make them any smaller. They're just tiny, tiny circles with the fingertips. And at this point, your arms might be telling you something. Mine definitely are. Let's take another breath here. Pausing, letting the space around you support the lift of your arms. Just getting a little assist, receiving from what's around you, holding you up. Inhale. And exhale, gently float the hands down nice and slow. All right, let's tip the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Just finding some space in the side of your neck. You might take a little rock yes and no here if that would feel good to you. Sometimes that can feel super nice. Little micro movements. Let the chin draw a line across the collarbones. And roll to the other side. Breathing here. If you come across a place that feels tight, tender, or sticky, maybe spend a little more time with it. Just pausing, breathing. Let's gently bring the head back through the center. Lift your gaze, lengthen through the top of the head. And let's stretch one arm up. I'm going to say the right arm. You can choose which one you start with. Let's bend the elbow so the hand falls behind the head or the neck or maybe even the upper back. I was thinking about lifting the elbow up You may even take your left hand, reach it up and overhead and gently hug the elbow in. And just checking in with your rib cage here. Hugging the front ribs back so we're still sitting up tall. If you want to play around a little here, maybe leaning over to one side or the other, kind of exploring that length in the side of your body a little bit. And we gently start to unravel out of the shape. Bring the hands down. Pause. Breathe in. Breathe out. And when you're ready, lift the other arm up. Bend the elbow. Hug it in. And breathe. So when I say hug it in, that might just mean an internal hugging of your arm in towards your head. Your elbow might not point up like mine is right now. It's finding a place where you feel some sensation. Something feels interesting, not painful. And stay with it for a little bit. It's exploring. Maybe the arm comes up and hugs in, but maybe not. Breathing in. Maybe leaning over if that feels interesting. Finding some extra space. Space for the breath to move. Energy to flow. Let's gently release the arms. Bring the hands down. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right, so we'll move towards a cobra or, Sphinx pose. And if you're on the ground, I would suggest rolling onto your belly and propping yourself up with your forearms. Forearms come right out in front of you. Your elbows can line up under your shoulders, more or less, maybe a little wider. And just finding that back bend shape here. So we're kind of offering the heart a little bit, lifting the chest, gently squeezing the legs together a little, lengthening the back, breathing. So even here you might sense that kind of hugging of the front ribs back, kind of keeping that space sturdy, strong, connected. If you are seated on your chair, bringing hands or the forearms down onto your thighs, and then looking forward, lengthening the chest away from the pelvis, kind of arching the back like we have been in cow pose, and our other back bend that we've done when we leaned back. Here for another breath in or so. And we'll gently come out of the pose. Feel free to rest your forehead on the ground or fold over your legs. Feel free to let a cleansing breath out of the mouth, breathing in and exhaling out of your mouth. Start to move towards a resting place. So I'm going to stay resting on my belly. If you're in a chair, it might be nice to hip walk towards the back of your chair and lean back. You can also lie down on your back or even just sit upright. We'll be here for about a minute or so. Maybe you close your eyes or soften your gaze. Feel free to intentionally slow down your breath a little bit. And take rest in Shavasana. Feel free to rest longer. If you're ready to move, you can gently start to press your way towards a seated shape again, maybe pressing through a little moment in child's pose. We'll all meet back in a upright position where we have our strong back, soft front. Feel free to bring the palms together in front of the heart. Anjali Mudra, this gesture of connection. Breathing in and breathing out. Thank you for sharing in this practice. See you next time.